Hi everyone, my name is Lucy, and the topic Group E is going to be covering is called Millennials in the Workplace. And just to start off, everyone is going to introduce themselves, starting with me. My major is Human Resource Development, minors, Psychology and Communication, and I'm currently in the process of deciding on whether or not I'm going to go into the work field or just go to grad school right after my undergrad. And next, my group members are going to introduce themselves as well. But a fun fact about me is that I'm either really excited or I'm really sad, and now I'm really excited. So everyone is lucky and happy. Next, we're going to have Michelle introduce herself.
So, hi everyone, my name is Michelle Tran. I'm also a human resource development major. And a fun fact about me is that I have a puppy. His name is Kedzie, and he's a Pomeranian.
All right, and then my name's Rachel Lucas. I'm a junior in business and marketing education. When I first came to the U, I was a biomedical engineering major, so I went from one BME major to another BME major. I'm going to graduate after this summer semester and then hopefully get a job next fall. And then a fun fact, I have a Sphinx cat that's asleep on my lap right now.
And my name is Matt Chisel. I am a senior in business marketing education, so after this year I will be going into the workforce, which I am pretty excited about. Fun fact about me is I've actually switched majors 3 different times, so I've had a total of 4 majors.
Wow, that's a lot. So next, I'm just going to give a background about the overall topic. And when it comes to millennial in the workplace, millennial falls in the category for when it comes to early 1980s and late 1990s. So that's just the age range. And we're categorized by our social and political views as well as how familiar we are with technology. And this topic is relevant to our identity, especially in the workplace, because many defining aspects of who we are and how we interact relate with our upbringing and the culture surrounding this. Millennials are often under um, this thing where it's called we do not work often. We just pretty much want the money and we're always on our technology. Currently, millennials are beginning to be of age to enter the workplace with many advances in technology and the large baby boomer generation set to retire. This is key to understand the millennial mindset, to understand what drives them and their values. We will be discussing some of those stereotypes, what being millennials mean to us, and how this reflects in the workplace. We hope to build a great depth of understanding on what being a millennial truly means by having this discussion. So hopefully you learn something as well, or just understand something in depth after we have this discussion. Now we're just going to have everyone give their individual statement about the overall topic, and then we're going to begin the actual discussion. We're going to start with Michelle.
Okay, so one of the things that I think millennials value the most over anything is time. And I think this heavily relates to the advances in technology. So as we saw in a very short period of time, from when we were born to now, there's been great advances in the amount of information and access to the world. But what hasn't changed is how much time there is to access all this information. So millennials have to fit in so much into very small windows of time between school, work, and personal life. On top of that, all these categories then require a greater depth and are very competitive in nature. And so with that, I think millennials value purpose within their workplace. They need to have a purpose in what they do so that they don't waste what little time they do have. And oftentimes that means that they're more active in the workplace and they are more prone to voice their opinions. And some pros of that is that inequity is a lot less tolerated and there is a greater want for mentorship and coaching. So I think now more than ever, workplaces need to be more fair and forward thinking to retain their millennial workers.
Next, we're going to have Rachel.
So I'm going to talk about millennial perspective just in my life and the people I know and like my actual work experience. Both my parents always tell me about the young people that work at their jobs and how they're never on time, they're always on their phone. There's just a consistently complaining about millennials and how they don't care about their jobs, they give little effort, they're always on their phones, they're too addicted to technology. So it's really interesting how pretty much all the media and millennials in general are just portrayed with such a negative lens.
Next, Matt is going to give his statement.
Yeah, so kind of what I wanted to talk about was kind of the difference in kind of work types between millennials and the older generations that have already kind of been working in the industry. I feel like a lot of the time, the reason why we kind of millennials get called lazy and not as hardworking as the older generations is just due to the fact that we have all this technology that makes our work a lot easier. And being so proficient in it kind of really helps millennials to kind of get the most work done without having to do as much strenuous work.
Okay, and my individual statement about this overall topic is that I just believe that millennials, they work smart instead of working hard. And I feel like the earlier generation, they just used to put a lot of like work hard when it comes to anything they're doing. But like everybody been saying, so far is more of working smart, and that's why we have like a lot of technologies, and we always take advantage of the resources we have. So instead of just working hard, our generation, we're just really good with working smart, and it's not that we're lazy. Now we're going to move into the overall discussion, and within this discussion, we're going to cover things like workplace attitude, destroying businesses. We're also going to be talking about technology, and that's a really important part, and as well as just destroying businesses. So we're going to just have a typical discussion like we would if we were in a classroom setting. And Matthew is going to go ahead and start this discussion.
Yeah, so kind of on workplace attitude, I guess going off my individual statement on how the difference of what people think with millennials being lazy and all that, is that kind of in a different sense is that millennials are more of a can-do type of group, where like they're given challenges in everyday situations in the workplace, where they take it head on, and put their best foot forward and try and do it as efficiently as they can. Along with this is that pretty much when millennials get into the workplace and join a business, they try to create an immediate impact on that, whereas many times with the older generations, they kind of get a feel for the new business, and kind of work their way in, and kind of after they get familiar with that and make more of an impact through there. Lastly, I kind of want to say how with millennials we're much more feedback central. So like we really enjoy hearing what we're doing well, what we can improve upon, and a lot of new businesses are kind of coming up with these new feedback kind of programs where millennials and other workers are able to hear almost any able to hear all their feedback, all the new feedback in each week, and all of that. So
I want to make two comments on what Matt said. First off, about the efficiency, technology has drastically helped with workplace efficiency, because if someone has a question about how something's wrong, they can quick look it up or look up tutorial videos. And then I want to relate something that Matt said to what Lucy said earlier about having like a work culture and how that's really important, kind of having a purpose and just like that.
And then I want to kind of further that. I think that definitely like shows that our generation isn't lazy. I feel like if anything, we're doing more work because we're taking away all that kind of more easy work, the work that like technology essentially has replaced. We're doing more of thinking work nowadays. So I think then it's unfair to say that our generation is lazy considering we are doing, I think, sufficiently more work than past generations have had to do.
Yeah, and I think that is really true because with technology, we don't just like folks spend so much time on one task, but we like complete way more tasks than like previous individual in those generation might have completed. It's just like more things are being done within like the 24-hour time that we have in each day because we have a lot of resources and we take advantage of all the resources that we do have.
Cool.
Next, we're going to be covering how it comes when it comes to destroying businesses, and Rachel is going to cover this.
All right, so millennials seem to have such a negative view from media in regard to like destroying businesses, just as one point. I've seen so many articles about millennials destroying like the cheap like dine-in restaurants like Applebee's, destroying like napkin and paper towel markets, and how they're just kind of using millennials as just blaming everything that's going wrong with millennials, even though they're the youngest and the newest to the economy. So I just think it's really interesting how rather than like actually like analyzing something, they're just going for a quick out and just saying, "Hey, millennials are the scapegoat. They're the ones who've done everything wrong." Yeah. So if any of you guys want to comment about that.
Yeah, it's very interesting that they're blaming millennials for that versus saying, you know, it's like with capitalism being such a major part of like the American economy, why they're not saying, well, these things aren't working versus I don't see how millennials could take that away.
Yeah, the businesses are supposed to evolve to live. They're not supposed to be like sustained just by the people just all willy-nilly.
And I feel like in general, like a whole group of people should not be blamed for like one person behavior. So for example, if they know like a young individual committed something or like just did something in general, you're going to blame like the whole millennial group instead of blaming, oh, maybe it's how this individual was raised or just their personality, but instead you're blaming like our whole generation for that person's behavior. And that's not good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I actually did see an article, like you were talking about how millennials were destroying the what was it, the diamond industry.
Yep.
And I just thought that was really funny because a lot of millennials were not really old enough to have the amount of money to even pay for like multiple different types of diamonds and all this stuff. And I just thought that was kind of funny how we physically can't. Well, I mean, we probably don't have too much of an impact on the diamond industry yet. They still kind of blame us because we're the scapegoat, like you said. So.
And even if millennials, like I think at least half the millennials are definitely not like looking for marriage at this point. They're like young 20s or younger. And all the older millennials, they grew up and they were entering the workforce during the economic recession during the late 2000s. So there was a recession at the time. So that's obviously going to decrease like marriage rates and stuff. So just the fact they're compacting all of these things and blaming it on millennials. So